Okay, hi everyone. Today I'm going to take a look at the weapons and armor and Ottoman depictions of the 1566 Siege of Szigetvar through this text, which is a published edition of an Ottoman manuscript with illustrations, and quite good illustrations. And if you'd like to look for the book itself, this is the title here. You can find it online quite easily. It's titled the Nushetti Israrul Ahyar der Ahbari Saferi Szigetvar, which means pleasures of the secrets of auspicious men from the news of the Szigetvar campaign. So pretty typical Ottoman title, quite overwrought, but it's essentially a military chronicle. And this is the title page, and then this is just what they kind of look like. I've showed some of these documents and manuscripts on the channel before, but we've got the text on one side and we've got one of the illustrations there. So that's the introduction, and the Siege of Szigetvar took place in Ottoman Hungary. So this is a few decades after 1566. This is a 1606 map, but as I've discussed the subject on the channel, we have a tripartite division of the former Kingdom of Hungary into three. So we've got the Ottoman area in blue, and we've got the Habsburg part in red, and we have the Transylvania, which was like a tributary to the Ottoman Empire. They're in green. Although Transylvania was internally autonomous, but it allowed the Hungarians to preserve kind of a level of cultural, freedom, and maintain, especially like the Hungarian language and that sort of thing. All right, well, don't want to get off on a tangent. I could talk a long time about Transylvania. Where is Szigetvar? So this is from the same map, but Szigetvar is in the southern part. We've got the Szigetvar pitch, and then, as you can see, it's quite close to the red area. This campaign is significant mainly because this is Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent's final campaign, and it's where he also dies during the campaign, and bringing an end to his reign, which was quite significant for the Ottoman Empire. So that's where we are, and I will just quickly say, I mean, we can see why this was such a strongly contested region, because Vienna is really not that far from Budapest. It was two cities at this time. By train now, I think it's something like 3 hours or something. But, and even traveling over land, quite close. So Vienna, which is in this area, I'm not sure if you can see the cursor, but it's in this area that's between the kind of the box, the map key, and the red Habsburg Hungary, Royal Hungary. It's right there, so quite close. And this was an active war zone for almost 200 years. Anyway, let's get on to the main subject. So the first one I wanted to look at, so this is an interesting picture. We've got the soldiers who showed their valor during the capture of Szigetvar received bonus payments and a timar from Sokollu Mehmed Pasha. Sokollu Mehmed Pasha's, I think he was Grand Vizier at this time, but at any rate was one of the main Ottoman commanders under Suleiman. They're presenting heads basically to the grandee, and we have the guy in the blue robe kind of taking notes. Timar is like a fief, like a feudal kind of land holding. Um, but what I wanted to look at more so than the kind of grisly image was what they're wearing. So we've got a guy here on the right, the one he's kissing the hand. Well, not literally, but yeah, he's basically kissing the hand or the robe of Sokolu Mehmed Pasha, and he looks to be wearing a full length kind of chainmail coat, but you can see it's quite mixed, and it looks like some of these guys have a similar full length kind of chainmail coat. They all have the van braces that are kind of with the bronze and a gold outer color, and you can see some variation in the headgear. I'm not sure if these guys are like the palace cavalrymen or if they're from the feudal kind of provinces. It's not entirely clear just based on this little caption, but we can see quite a variation. And it seems like some of these guys have, more kind of full-length mail on, possibly underneath their clothing, or maybe not at all. But we can definitely see that the artist did try to portray like the texture of chainmail. Because this guy, I'm not sure if he's supposed to be wearing, because there's this guy in the back between the one in red and the one with the black and gold robe. I'm not sure if he's supposed to be wearing armor or if he just has a gray kind of outfit on, but it looks to be gray. These other guys have mail, so we have quite a few, variety, and also their boots are a variety of colors. I wouldn't entirely ascribe artistic license to some of these. I think they would try to portray them not literally, sort of photorealistically, but it would have been understood this is kind of how different soldiers dress. And yeah, there's some variation, but it is interesting that the headgear is all kind of golden or bronze, I guess, maybe. Some washed. I'm assuming the steel's maybe washed with some kind of other metal. We have what looks to be a janissary here with the distinctive headgear. He's in red. This is probably a member of the chancery. Here he's taking notes. He's got the pen, and they all have the curved. It's not really drawn with much of a curve here, but kind of a cutting blade. Yeah. So got these probably would have been cavalrymen, I think, clearly dismounted based on the armor and kind of the helmet. So this next one is included in this edition of this one chronicle, but this is from a different one called the Zafername. This is assaulting the main citadel at Szigetvar. We have some interesting details, so we'll go to the expanded view here. So we have quite a few janissaries, and they're preparing to breach or attack the walls, it looks like. We've got a guy here with some kind of pick, so I'm sure they were trying to kind of break through the wall. And then we've got a bunch of janissaries with shields and spears, which is not something you typically see in these kind of illustrations. Janissaries are usually gunners, handgunners, so just an interesting thing there. And we've got some other troops. They could be like the Azabs that have been mustered for the campaign, or they could be more cavalrymen that have dismounted to attack the wall. But as you can see, there's clearly a difference between, we've got janissaries and their kind of headgear, and then we've got guys in turbans. We've also got a couple guys just in armor. They could be commanders. We do have a Janissary gunner kind of off to the side here. Now it's important to note the kind of philosophy for like what the way they would approach these illustrations is like, it's, of course it doesn't mean that it's like only one Janissary was shooting at the wall. It's more just to each figure or character is kind of just meant to symbolize that this is what was happening. And the goal with a lot of these was to make these illustrations relatively quickly. That was another aspect. And we've also got guys in armor attacking the wall, and we've also got the defenders, and they have some grenades or bombs of some kind. Excuse me. And these guys are painted with their armor being kind of a gold or brass, copper, whatever it might be. So that's kind of interesting to note there. I think I do remember at the Istanbul Military Museum a lot of the Ottoman weapons and armor did have this kind of whatever metal it is, copper or brass kind of coating or wash. So this is from the main text. So this is another view of attacking the castle, and this is actually not a moat. In Hungary at this time in the 16th century, it was a lot the landscape had a lot more marshes and kind of water in general. In the 18th century, a lot of that was drained to kind of improve conditions and malaria, that kind of thing. But so a lot of these fortresses became like little islands kind of in these rivers, and which is quite different from the landscape of Hungary today. But they're attacking like the outer walls. This would have been the suburb, and then the inner part is the citadel. So let's go to so we've got more Janissaries and other warriors, Ottoman soldiers with mostly spears, it looks like. And some guys have swords and shields, which is interesting. And we've got Janissaries attacking with spears and swords. There are pretty grisly images here, cutting this poor Habsburg soldier apart. And we also we're kind of charging through this bastion that's been blown open, presumably by the cannons, and they're attacking the citadel. We've got the Habsburg soldiers on the bridge there coming out, and they're clearly drawn with more European style equipment. They're also seem to be raising an Ottoman banner, because we've got this guy here, and then it's cut off, but we've got another Ottoman off to the side here putting a banner up, and Janissary kind of capturing this tower. So, but it looks like we've got a mix of, I would assume the ones in turbans maybe are the Azabs, kind of like the conscripted Muslim soldiers. We've got cavalrymen with the helmet and the van braces, and we also have the Janissaries, of course. But yeah, swords and spears. This is kind of unique because I don't really see that many pictures of Ottomans with like pole weapons per se, whereas the Europeans here have looks like a billhook or some kind of halberd that they're depicting. We have another view of the same image. This is up on, I guess this would be the upper part of the castle. Something has exploded. I don't really have a lot to add here. I just thought this was kind of a cool picture of the guys going up in the air. Something blew up. Not something I see in these texts very often. More Janissaries attacking. And we've also got some of the heavier, I guess these would have been like the very large fortress guns. Not quite a cannon, but not quite an arquebus or a musket either. You also have the Ottoman gun positions here. This is probably a bridge that they would have constructed, like a pontoon bridge, to get to the Citadel. Um, so that's all I have for this little exploration. I hope you thought it was interesting. I certainly learned a lot going through this. There are a few more illustrations in this book, so I may revisit it in the future. But if you like the video, thanks for watching. And if you have any questions or another topic like this you'd like me to address, I'd be happy to look into it. Especially for wargaming, the Renaissance period. Looking at these kind of visual references is really valuable because a lot of the information in like kind of the Osprey books can be sometimes not super reliable, or things on the internet are not always well sourced, or you get into something where you just have like circular sourcing of the same things, and it's always better to go back if we can to kind of visual stuff like this. I would be interested if I can find anything from the European side of illustrations that would be interesting. But another reason why I like the Ottoman illustrations is they're in color, whereas the European woodcuts and engravings are not necessarily in color. But that's not always a deal breaker. So, all right. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.